Now, I left the United States Navy on December the 11th, 1975, only 5 years before I could have retired very comfortably on all of your tax dollars. And I had intended to remain in the service of my country and retire as my father had done. I come from a long line of men who have served this country from the very first one of my ancestors who stepped foot on this soil. But I became disillusioned because of what I'd learned, not just about Kennedy, but many other things. I realized that the intelligence community existed mainly for one purpose, and that the National Security Act passed in 1947 was passed for one purpose: to hide the machinations of the secret societies, to bring about the dissolution of sovereign nation states and create a one-world government under the United Nations. I realize that all of this is difficult for many of you to believe out there, especially if this is the first time you've ever listened to the Hour of the Time. And I would suggest that you hear it out, order back tapes, or wait for reruns, and learn what we've already taught many people over the last 2 years. When I left the United States Navy, I began a search, a delving down into my own soul, a quest, if you will, as the mysteries would put it, for the United States of America that I had thought that I had known. And what I found over all these years, folks, is absolutely amazing. I've almost given up ever finding any kind of a film that would show William Greer turning around, shooting the president, and had seen many viewings of the Zapruder film on television, always in black and white, always cutting away from the driver at the crucial moment, never showing the driver, in fact, never showing the entire Zapruder film, in fact. And as I said, I'd just about given up ever finding anything that would confirm or deny what I had seen in those documents with the Office of Naval Intelligence. Until I was talking to John Lear in early December of 1988. John Lear is a very famous pilot who holds 17 world speed records, holds every certificate that the FAA grants or has available. And John was asking me about what I had seen in these papers, and I told him that I had seen that the driver of Kennedy's limousine had administered the headshot, and that the act was plainly visible in a film withheld from the public. What happened next shocked me, woke me up, to say the least, excited me, made me want to go see John immediately, because in a very calm, almost bored voice, very low, very nonchalant, as if this was something that happened every day, John said, and I quote, "Would you like to see it?" unquote. Well, I asked him when I could see this piece of film, and he invited me to his home just before Christmas 1988, and I went and spent 3 or 4 days with John. I forget exactly how long it was. He showed me this film. We talked about many things: his life flying for Air America in Southeast Asia, the drugs that were flown out of Southeast Asia by the Central Intelligence Agency, the intelligence operations that he had participated in, and I talked about some of the things that I had participated in. And he gave me a copy of this film. I asked him where he got it. He told me that he got it from a friend of his. He couldn't tell me his name, but that he was an agent of the Central Intelligence Agency. The man later turned out to be Lars Hansen. Lars later called me at his home when he found out that I'd used this film in a couple of my lectures or presentations to show people that what I had been telling them about William Greer shooting the president could now be seen in this film. And it did, ladies and gentlemen, look exactly like, and still does, William Greer turns with a pistol in his left hand and fires point blank at Kennedy's head. Now, for many years, I have been searching for the truth. And when I have found that I've been wrong, unlike everyone else, I have freely admitted it and gone toward the right path, which is what we all should do. Searched, and I searched. I talked to people. Lars Hansen eventually called me and came to my home and gave me a copy of the Zapruder film and a copy of the film that Lieutenant Colonel Bogreitz had made in Southeast Asia. And on November the 5th of that year at Hollywood High School, I was giving a presentation that was paid for, organized, and put together by volunteers to raise money so that I could continue to try to educate the American people. You see, because of what I was doing, they made it impossible for me to work. Up until that point, I'd been the executive director of several colleges in the state of California. And at every single college where I began to work, someone would come and suggest that I turn in my resignation or the college would lose its federal funding. I don't know how much you know about education in this country, folks, but if that had happened, no college could survive once they had been used to receiving that kind of money. And that's how they sucked people into this socialism. So I voluntarily resigned, went my own way, and decided that since they wouldn't let me work, I would spend the rest of my life exposing these people. Exposing them, and that's what I've been doing. Lars Hansen was a member of the volunteer staff of the Hollywood High presentation, and he admits it in his own writings. He gave us the film that we showed there, which he claims he did not know we were going to show. He claims that he stood in line at the microphone to try to ask me why I was showing his film. Yet in the videotapes of that lecture, you can clearly see Lars Hansen holding a video camera as a part of my volunteer staff, making a videotape of the entire proceedings. We later found out that Lars Hansen was reared in the Stell group, where he came to know a fellow Stell member, another member of the Brotherhood, Tom Valentine, intimately. Lars Hansen then began publicly renouncing the film that he had made. Now remember that John Lear had originally told me that he was a Central Intelligence Agency operative. Now, we've never been able to find out if that's true or not, but we do know that he was, and always will be a member of the Secret Brotherhood, as is Tom Valentine, L. Fletcher Prouty, and many, many others. The attacks that have been made against me over the years, and the fact that no one anywhere even acknowledges that I have even suggested that William Greer turned around and shot the president, lends more support for my argument than any other argument outstanding. You see, because over the years, I have made this information available to so many people that every congressman and senator, every news broadcasting agency, every talk show host in this country has received my tapes and have been asked to have me on their show, not by me, but by many Americans who want this discussed. During the last couple of weeks, Newsweek magazine came out with an issue talking about all of the assassination theories. Nowhere in the magazine, even though they discussed some absolutely ludicrous theories, was my assertion ever mentioned, much less discussed. None of the so-called people who claim that I'm full of it have ever talked to me, ever called me, ever asked my viewpoint. None of them. Not a single one. Not L. Fletcher Prouty, not Tom Donahue, not any of these people.